Second fight in the UFC. Do you feel any different than going into the first one?
No, not really. Same level of excitement. My training's been great, and I'm excited to fight.
You are known as a pretty clever talker.
Sure.
And this three-piece and soda thing really took off. And I was just wondering if you felt like that was a good line, or is he getting a little bit of credit that maybe he didn't deserve?
I think it's probably to the thing where he didn't know what he was saying, you know. And sometimes people say stuff and they don't realize it's funny, and then everyone else catches on. I'll give you a great example. Like the girl that said, "Cash me outside." How about that? Mm-hmm. Like she didn't know that was gonna take off and make her a millionaire. She had no idea that's what was gonna happen. None.
Yeah.
She said, "Cash me outside." How about that? That was just like how she talked, and people thought it was funny. So I would say a similar thing happened with George. That's probably how he talks, and it's abnormal to most people, so they thought it was funny. So yeah, whatever. I'll give him credit for it.
You do give him credit, okay?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I mean, is he intellectual and is he funny on a regular basis? I would say the answer to that's no.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did say this line right after he went after Leon Edwards backstage, and I know that like you have had your own moments in your brief amount of time in the UFC where your friend Marty came up to you and got in your face.
Yeah.
If George comes up and gets in your face, do you think it could get physical before the fight?
Yeah, they need to keep the idiot away from me. I mean, I'm paid to fight in the octagon, and we can do it for 15 minutes, and I don't want any chances that he's going to do something stupid before the fight and ruin it.
Huh. That is a concern of yours that he would actually do that.
Yeah, he's that dumb. He's that dumb where, I mean, it's going to ruin his paycheck too, right? Not just mine. Mm-hmm. But yes, I would be concerned that he would ruin both my paycheck and his paycheck by doing something stupid that he thinks it makes him look, I don't know, tougher or more bold or more masculine. I don't really know like what's inside his head that makes him think that type of behavior is cool or acceptable, but it is.
Okay, so you think it's not really particular to you. It's just how he acts.
Well, I'm not the one he punched. He punched Leon Edwards.
Yeah, but do you think he has a problem with you specifically? Do you get the sense of there's animosity in this?
Absolutely, and I don't really. I was, you know what's funny? I wish we were in a press conference and I could ask him because he's on the Joe Rogan show, and he can't even verbalize what his issues are. Joe was kind of asking, well, what's your issues? And he didn't really come up with any good answers whatsoever. And so I think it's that I think a lot of fighters are kind of put off by how they viewed me as this outside entity for a long time. I came to the UFC and I just caught fire, right? But it was because people were waiting for me for so long. And the other thing is I feel like a brush of air to a lot of people because I don't have this macho bravado, try to act so tough all the time. I'm just a regular guy who just says it like it is, who happens to fight for a living and be pretty good at it.
Are you pretty happy with what? Because I got to admit, when you over there in London, it felt like you were good with either one. You told me that you were good with facing either one, but it did kind of feel like Darren would have been the preferred choice. Are you happy with how it's all shook out, that you're fighting Jorge Masvidal at UFC 239?
No, it's great. They actually had footage of me. They had a camera on me while I was commentating like the main event. They haven't put it out yet, but I think I was pretty depressed when George got the knockout because I didn't think I was going to get the fight. I thought there was almost no chance at that point. And then when he punched Leon Edwards backstage, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm really not going to get this fight now. Like, they're going to match them up for sure. Yeah. So at that point, I was like, oh, hey, this sucks. I wasted my time coming over here, and I'm not going to get this fight. And so, yeah, when I did end up getting the fight, when it became obvious that they weren't going to match up Edwards and Masvidal for whatever reason, I kind of had to entice George into taking the fight, but I was able to do that, and it's great.
Why did you think initially that that fight wouldn't come together? He
was just saying a lot of stuff that week, and then even in his post-fight speech, I don't recall what he said, but something like, I'm not going to talk about someone, or I'm not going to make something stupid, like I'm not going to make him famous when I've significantly more following than him. And so, I mean, what do I think the real reason is? I think the real reason is he knows I'm a freaking terrible matchup for him, and he doesn't want any part of that. And because I called out his masculinity and because I stayed on him, he really had no other option but to say, okay, fine, I'll fight you. Because that's his persona. Right? He's built this persona that he's this tough guy. And when I started questioning his masculinity, those types of things, there was nothing he could do but say yes.
And what you're referring to goes back to that time that you guys wrestled one another in 2008, right?
Oh, yeah, somewhere back then.
So 2000.
We just worked out, yes.
Yeah, 2008, 2009, you worked out, and you said that you beat him that day.
I mean, I don't even recall. I don't even recall. Here's what I think. I don't recall exactly who won and who lost. Here's what I recall. I recall thinking, this guy's weak. There's no way he could ever beat me in a fight. or wrestling match or whatever. That's what I remember. So yeah, I probably won that day. I don't recall the very specifics of what happened. I just remember, like, a lot of times you don't remember specifics, you remember feelings. That was my feeling leaving that day, that, okay, if I ever get in a dust up with this guy, I'll mess him up.
Yeah, and do you think he left with that same feeling?
Well, why else would he have so much reluctance to fight one of the hottest guys in the division? If he thought, oh, that guy was a wimp, I whooped him that day, he wouldn't have had any reluctance. He'd be like, okay, I'm going to come take this guy's steam, right? Because I got a lot of steam. He sucks. I know it. I worked out with him. I know he stinks. There's going to be no problem for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's sign it up.
Well, that was 11 years ago. Have you seen any improvements from George in the area that's specific to you, the wrestling? Have you seen improvements there?
Wrestling and grappling, yeah, he's better. Obviously, he's better than he was. He actually, listen, I don't hate the guy. The guy works pretty hard. He's been in the game for a long time. He's a student of the sport, Yeah, has he got better? Of course, but you still see, like, the gym things with him and Colby. And you just see there's just something lacking in the grappling department that he doesn't have. There's a little pop to it or a little power that he's just kind of lacking. And you know what? A lot of guys who grow up striking and then convert to wrestling, for whatever reason, they kind of lack that power necessary to stop the stronger attacks.
Like you said, he has been doing this a long time. He has not won a championship in the UFC. Why do you think that is? Why do you think George has never been a champion?
George has never been, not only never been a champion, I don't believe he's ever fought for a title. I'm not wrong on that, am I?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's never fought for a title because he does have significant weaknesses, which he's got significant strengths also, right? What happens when you have great strengths and great weaknesses is you have high highs and you have low lows, right? You have both of these things, and you could point to him having both ends of the spectrum. Obviously, he has a lot of good wins on his record, but he also has a lot of bad losses on his record, and that's because his style, not only stylistically from a technical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, he just doesn't get it done when it comes to those fights that will put him over the hump. He just doesn't get it done.
So, I mean, you're a smart guy. Him coming in, let's just assume that you are correct in your assumption of that he does believe that he can't wrestle with you. Yeah. What is his game plan going to be? What are you expecting him to do?
His game plan is jab, stay away, and try to land a big uppercut or knee. I'm sure that's his game plan. That's everyone's game plan, right? And I think the thing that has to make most of the division even more nervous is against Robbie is what you saw is I can take a big shot. It's not really a big deal. I'm just going to keep coming forward, and I'm going to get you, and I'm going to take you down, and then I'm going to do what I want to you. And so, if that's George's game plan, which I'm sure it is, it's now it's got to look like an even less viable game plan than it did previously. And on top of that, Robbie's a power puncher. Robbie hits really hard. George is more of a volume striker. And has he had a few knockouts in his career? Sure, he has, right? But when you look at his career, he's more of a volume striker. He's got a lot of decisions on his record. And so, if you're thinking, hey, he's going to put me down with one shot, I think that's probably unlikely.
I think you were in like what I would call possibly the photo of the year so far.
Which one, me and Dana?
Yes, you and Dana.
We're going to be in another one today.
What is that?
Well, we're supposed to square off.
Again.
Who am I going to square off with? Dana again?
Yeah, take two.
People are going to start thinking I'm fighting a effing invisible opponent or something. They're going to be like, why is this guy on stage by himself every time? This is so bizarre.
Yeah. Do you make anything of that he's bailed on both of these? Or, hey, it's like a week away from the fight?
No, it's a mental weakness.
You think?
Absolutely. Listen, if I'm mentally strong, well, which I am, I'll use myself for example, it doesn't matter what happens, pardon my language, I don't know if I can say the F word, in the next 14 days. I could hurt my ankle. I'm going to win. I could get sick. I'm going to win. It doesn't matter. Whatever comes, I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to win. And when you say, oh, it's going to be hard for me to fly 14 hours, or not, what did I say, 14 hours? What's it, 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever, right? Back and forth. Oh, this is going to be hard. It's going to ruin my training. Oh, whatever. It's mentally making an excuse saying that unless everything is perfect, I can't get this done. And everything is not going to be perfect. So, yeah, I see it as a huge flaw. And the other potential is that he knows in a battle of wits or a battle of words, it's going to get ugly for him. And that's going to only add to, right? Like we talked earlier about how he has this insane amount of dislike. Like he said something ridiculous last week about he wants to end my bloodline, which I thought was hilarious because I already have 3 kids. So unless you're planning a murder on the rest of my family, that's pretty sick and disturbing, you're not going to end my bloodline, George, because I have 3 children. Right. But when you say stuff that's like as crazy as that is, it's so obvious that I'm under your skin. I make you upset. And then you can't even verbalize why I make you upset. And so if we come in contact again, that is only going to get worse, right? It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And generally speaking, we'll say a very high majority of the time, people who are that angry fight very poorly.
Mm. So with the Dana thing, though, I mean, this was a big focal point of going up into your debut.
Yeah.
Is the relationship any different than it was before your first fight, would you say?
I would say it's no different.
No different.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he likes the fact that I'm easy to deal with and that I show up all the time. I'm sure he likes those things. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, anytime the UFC's wanted me for a press engagement or whatever it is, I'm there. I don't complain. Show up on time. And whenever they've said, hey, let's do a fight, I said, okay, let's do a fight. It's no big deal.
Do you think he's come around so much that what would his reaction be to putting a belt around your waist in the octagon? And you being a UFC champion?
I mean, that will happen. It will be funny and interesting to see what his reaction is. It'll be very funny.
Mm-hmm. Last question, you said that everybody is losing interest in Colby, and you believe that if you win this fight, you could just jump him in line and face Usman. Make your case for that. Make your case for why you win this fight. You're the #1 contender.
You don't have to be the #1 contender to fight for the title. So let's not mistake that. Colby is the #1 contender. That being said, when you sit out for very extended periods of times, that doesn't always turn out well. He already got skipped once. I mean, he was next in line to fight Tyron Woodley. He was the #1 contender, and he got skipped for Usman. Usman won the belt. And now Colby's just over here sitting on his thumb like something good's going to happen. And when you sit out and when people forget about you, fighting is a very, what did you do lately for me? I mean, take George, for example. George lost 2 fights, and he knocks out Darren Till. And then he's trying to talk title shot. Dude, you've lost 2 of your last 3, and you're talking about a title shot. That's insane, but that's how fighting is. Yeah. It's a what have you done for me lately? And so when you sit out for this crazy extended period of time, and then now when you kind of look back at his wins, they don't look nearly as great. And so you know what I didn't realize this till I thought it was this foregone conclusion that they're going to book those 2 together. And then like 6 weeks ago, I'm like, man, why haven't they booked him yet? And then a couple weeks back, I'm like, man, I'm only a month away from my fight, and they still haven't booked him. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, we're 2 weeks away, and they're not booking him. There's not another big press conference or announcement. I don't think they're going to book him. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is. No one's talking about it. No, you don't see this big uproar from Colby's fans if he has any. I mean, I don't see it. I don't think you see it. No one's talking about it. And so when I come in on July 6th and I whoop George's ass, and then I cut a mean promo afterwards. That's how MMA works. People are going to be riding high on emotion. I'm going to tell Marty, sign the contract, GTFO, and we're going to sign the contract where you get it on.
Never boring interview, Ben. Thanks for the time, man.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.